Everyone, welcome to this panel entitled Philly DA, Changing the Odds, a nod to an organization we'll be talking about in a little bit. Joining me here, we have LaTanya Myers and Bill Cobb, part of this Sundance Festival. We're really excited to be in conversation with y'all. My name is Claudia Pena. I'm the executive director of For Freedoms and a longtime abolitionist. So I'm really excited to be in dialogue with folks that have been on the ground working on these issues for a bit now. We're going to be talking about our stepping point is Philly DA, a series that was created by Ted Passon, Nicole Salazar, and Yanni Brooke, and PBS Independent Lens is going to be showing it, I think starting soon. This spring, it'll also be available to watch online. We'll definitely watch the trailer together right now. But before we get into that, I thought we could have LaTanya Myers and Bill Cobb introduce themselves, to share a little bit about yourself, just so we can get into groove here, and then we'll show the trailer and get into a conversation. Does that sound good?
Yeah, thank you, Claudia. Thank you for Freedom. Thank you, Sundance. I really appreciate this opportunity to share my thoughts and experiences with this film. From an on-the-ground point of view. I am a formerly incarcerated activist. I found my passion through my pain. I worked at the Defenders Association of Philadelphia. I'm really passionate about abolition, as well as abolishing the cash bail system.
Thank you, LaTanya. Bill.
Peace and love, Claudia, and thank you, LaTanya, for the invitation to join you here at Sundance. I'm Bill Cobb. I've lived in the city of Philadelphia almost my entire life. I'm an activist and organizer who's formerly incarcerated, who has for the last 20 years been working to make sure that people closest to the problem, who are closest to solutions, are not furthest from resources and power. And so I was invited today to just stand here with LaTanya and talk about the amazing work she's been doing in the community, to restore lives all across the city of Philadelphia. So I'm delighted to be here.
I'm so excited to be here with you both. And I almost wish so for those of y'all who just joined us, we've been having these planning conversations around this panel, and I almost wish we had recorded those and just like press play, have people watch those, because y'all be dropping mics nonstop, just like saying stuff that blows people's minds and then walking away. So to get us grounded in this conversation, let's share this trailer. And I'm gonna act like I'm really tech savvy right now, and I know exactly what I'm doing, because I do. Optimize. All right. Can you see the trailer? Yes. All right. I would go full screen, but when I do that, sometimes things get messed up. So we're going to watch it in little screen. Sorry, everybody.
I rejected a long time ago that the only purpose of the criminal justice system is to punish.
Voters in Philadelphia have chosen a progressive as their new district attorney.
The most stunning upset.
Sending political shockwaves across the country.
I am a career civil rights lawyer, the only attorney in the history of this city to overturn 800 convictions by corrupt police officers.
Krasner is a hero to some and a bum to others.
He's never been pro-law enforcement.
If things aren't working from the inside, you need to bring someone from the outside.
What do you think he's trying to accomplish?
Anarchy.
At this point, there are more people of color in prison or on parole than in slavery at the end of the Civil War.
Larry is bringing in criminologists, activists.
Everything we do, steady fire, heavy resistance. This will be controversial.
Policies that focus on rehabilitation and second chances as opposed to punishment.
We're in Philadelphia and there's murders and robberies. Community services maybe not appropriate.
This DA's office has been too close and too cozy with the Fraternal Order of Police.
How corrupt do you think the city is?
Anybody who's dealt with this office knows there are secrets. We need to find out where the secrets are.
You gotta be kidding me.
What is it?
Trials about police officers.
There has not been prosecution of police misconduct by this DA's office for 30 years.
Right now, Philly police officers think the scales are suddenly weighed down in favor of criminals.
If you're too corrupt to testify in court, you're too corrupt to patrol the streets. Who was DA when there were dozens of people shot over the weekend?
I was.
We're tired, and we want our neighborhood back.
When you try to make the right decisions, I'll live with the rest.
There's a meaningless, endless cycle. A cycle of trauma, a cycle of pain. Some of the effects can be irreversible.
There's no mass incarceration. That's utterly ridiculous.
Not one cop is going to tell you that he's on our team.
Well, I suggest you don't shoot unarmed people in the back.
The DA's office is not a place a social experiment should be conducted.
You don't have to destroy the system to get the results you want.
All right. Oh, Philly DA premieres tonight at Sundance. Thank you so much, Yoni. You must happen to know the inside scoops, given that you're one of the creators of the show. Thanks for sharing with us. Can I hear some initial reflections from LaTanya and Bill, especially because Bill, watching your face during that trailer was super fun.
Wow, that was the first time I actually seen the trailer myself. And I wasn't prepared for how much emotion that it was going to evoke out of me. It's been a long, hard fight. I'm super proud to be a part of this project, and I'm looking forward to continuing the fight. So that's what I got to say about it. It kind of took my breath. It's my first time actually seeing it, so I'm kind of speechless to that point, but I'm excited to see more in episode 4 as well.
Yeah, I'm taken aback because I get to see the work. Nobody, I know the investment of love, care, consideration, strategy, money. I've been in the fight to produce this outcome, and so haven't been paying attention. I've just been nose down, and to see Mike Lee there, and I work with these people, but I like it was overwhelming. That is overwhelming. Those are the kind of outcomes that we hope that would be producing. I just measure the outcome felt on the ground, and those outcomes I'm very pleased with. But the nuance of what it's looking like on the day-to-day, I haven't seen it, and so I'm overwhelmed.
What outcomes are you referring to, Bill?
We made a concerted effort to create an opportunity for Larry Krasner to be elected, and then work very hard by making sure that those of us who have been impacted by the system were the people who actually drove the outcome. And so it's that. I know that it's us that propelled that. And so for me, we're still doing that work. Like for us, it was never about a Larry Krasner. For us, it's about power. And so knowing that we produced that outcome, and we're still working to produce outcomes, and we're working to produce outcomes all across the country. Many times those of us doing the work, we don't pay attention to the media and the narratives and the nuance. We're just paying attention to the fact that people are coming home. So the outcomes are the fact that people like myself and LaTanya are now working in institutions and transforming them from the inside out. The outcomes are that Larry Krasner's leadership is liberating Black and brown people who have been in cages for generations because of corruption rooted in our criminal justice system. The outcomes are that Black and brown people now have hope that by being civically engaged and giving some of their time and energy, we can transform our lives because we are powerful enough to do so in this democracy. And so it's that we won, and that is our victory that's right there in front of the world to see. And it's also exciting to know that we ain't done. And there are so many more stories to tell, and there are so many outcomes. And so that felt really good.
Yeah. It isn't lost on me that in watching that trailer, you see that a lot of the activists and the folks who were supporting that were Black people in Philly, right? And that's a victory. And the connection to what happened in Georgia, right? With Black folks being the propelling force behind those victories that have ended up resulted in having some measure of control over the Senate, and maybe something will get done in the next 4 years that's helpful to our communities. Black folks are often the reason that we move forward as a nation at all. And I'm really happy to see that that's being shown in this series. Latanya, I want to know from you, Bill was just talking about civic engagement, and I know that you were talking about that recently too, that civic engagement is important to you. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, like civic engagement is actually what saved me. I feel like I found my purpose and my passion through my pain. Not relying on, elected officials just to hold me accountable, but holding them accountable as well. Learning that, sometimes the pen is mightier than a sword, and channeling my energy into reversing some of these racist laws, that was meant to break the spirits and to make us feel like, we can only, that we're second-class citizens, that we can't arise above the certain stigmas that's attached to us. So through civic engagement, I hope that people continue to watch the series and see in episode 4 how, through civic engagement, I was able to advocate and get myself off probation. And I hope to inspire other people throughout the nation to be energized and empowered, to be a part of fighting for their freedom, but the freedom of others as well. And speaking truth to power, letting them know that, we have a right to be free, and we're going to stand on the shoulders of giants, and we're not going to no longer conform to what their image of what they think, we are and we can't do. And we here to stay.
When you say inspire others to be civically engaged, who are you referencing? Who do you think about? Who's on your mind?
Particularly, I think about, individuals that look like me, individuals in the LGBT community that deals with reentry every day. But a lot of our stories are not, amplified, or, our struggles in certain situations. So I just think of a young queer individual that might not think that their voice can be heard, or might not think that they can walk in a meeting, and demand their freedom, and help liberate up to 715 others behind them. I want them to understand that we are very, very much needed and a part of this movement.
And would you say that there's different needs for that population of folks that you're speaking to, Latanya?
Yeah. There's, the need to educate, the need for diversity, in this movement, the need to listen to stories that are unheard, the need for sensitivity, the need for motivational interviewing, and allowing people to actually come home and feel welcome, to feel part of community, and take stake in that community and advocate for the change that they feel as though need to be done in that community in order to keep them and everyone in that community safe.
Yeah, that's right. Bill, when you think about civic engagement, what is it? What's the group of people that you're thinking about, and why does it matter?
So when I think about civic engagement, I think about global political movements. I think about the ability to transform communities through electoral and democratic processes. I think about power. I think about money. I think about control. I think about setting the rules. I think about the disbursement of energy. So for me, what you invest is what you get. And so one of the things that, one of the things in relationship to one another that me and Latanya hold each other accountable for is always thinking about who's in charge. Like, because we're tired of living under systems of oppression and laws and rules and regulations that we know are cemented to make sure that we are living on the bottom of society. So I acknowledge that there are systems and there is history, but I also acknowledge that I am a human and that the planet is mine and that all these other things are not relevant. And so when I think about being civically engaged, I'm really thinking about people and the planet. And it's just that basic.
Mm-hmm. Bill, you also talk about organizing formerly incarcerated people almost as if like it's a voting bloc. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, so thank you for that. Not almost as if it's a voting bloc. For the last 20 years, me and my peers across the country have been transforming electoral politics just isolated from one another. Here in the city of Philadelphia, the first person that we elected was Lynn Abraham, believe it or not, who was the country's deadliest district attorney. But unfortunately, there were forces who felt like she wasn't deadly enough. And so my mentor, Malik Aziz, who transformed the country by creating Ban the Box, by showing us that we could actually lead from in front, by taking us in rooms of power. I'm only duplicating his efforts and energies. And now we've concentrated them in Philadelphia and all over the country. There are 100 million people living with arrests and convictions. We've been working for the last 20 years to make sure that we acquire the right to vote, to actually clear our records, and then acquire public office. And so the demonstration of that is the election of Larry Krasner, but also the elections of people like Jamal Bowman, who I helped assist and set up his program. And we always target people who are living with arrests and convictions. Here in the city of Philadelphia, 350,000 people living with arrests and convictions are going to determine who the next 7 or 8 judges are here in the city of Philadelphia and possibly the entire state of Pennsylvania. So it's not that we are a voting bloc. We are the largest dormant voting group in the United States. And we just will happen to be national organizers who are hyper-focused on making sure that we know that and that we execute and transform political outcomes all over the world. So yeah, we're somewhat of a voting bloc.
Say it again for the people in the back, Bill. I'm here for this. LaTanya, I want to show a clip from episode 4, which you are featured in. But before showing it, I just wanted to ask you, what inspired you to participate in Philly DA? What is it that, you know, that motivated you to say yes to being part of this project?
I think what motivated me was what continues to motivate me. And that's the freedom, fighting for the freedom of my people, to really show that sometimes it's hard to find, you know, Bill Cobbs or successful returning citizens, you know, and I just want them to see and be inspired that we don't have to conform just to that small narrative, that we can dream, you know, and we can be a part of the decision making, that we deserve to be a part of the decision. We deserve to be at the forefront, you know. We elect our judges, we elect our DAs, and we will continue to hold them accountable in the same ways that they think that they're, you know, that they hold us accountable. So this, you know, this film and being part of it is just something that I really hope to inspire others to continue to be engaged, to continue to pay attention to what's happening, and continue this fight all throughout the nation, and let them know, and those that are fighting, and let them know that they're not alone. They got a sister in Philadelphia. You know, if you want to reach out, if we want to collaborate, if we can move together, that's what we're here for. And power to the people. So that's why I'm just happy to be part of this film, to let individuals know that they're not alone, or inspire them to take action.
I love it. You think you should give context about this clip before, or talk about it afterwards?
Yeah, so this clip is actually a result of, like, when I went in episode 4, it's a fight for me to get off probation. There's certain policies, and sometimes we know that these policies are slow turning. For some reason, there are people that don't want us free. There are people that want us to feel as though that we're at the bottom of the barrel, and they want us to stay there. So, and, you know, going back and forth with my judge and trying to show her that I atoned for what I did, and I had so much more to offer my community if given a second chance. She challenged me, you know, and learning how to, you know, channel that energy in a way where, you know, I don't get frustrated. You know, I challenged her back, and I said, moving forth, you know, I will let my community know, and I will show the courts that we are not outliers. You know, I testified at the Harrisburg in front of the Judiciary Committee, and they said that I was an outlier. I mean, thinking that he was calling me a liar. They were saying I was the exception of. And I knew that wasn't true. I knew that every day that I looked at my neighbor, you know, walking to work, or, you know, just trying to stay out of trouble and just trying to survive the systematic oppression, that I knew that they was trying their best. And I needed my legislators, I needed these judges, and I wanted them to not only see it, but acknowledge it. And so, I did a probation award ceremony to empower and to just acknowledge all the perseverance that I know that we have to have in going through the system while we slowly wait for policies to change.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna share screen and show folks this clip from episode 4 of Philly DA. Again, I'm going to keep it small because I promise sometimes when I go full screen, funny things happen with my computer.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say thank y'all for this amount of support that you've given these awardees. And I just want to take this time to acknowledge the individuals that's in this room that took time out of their schedule to be here to celebrate these individuals as well. And I would like to thank Senator Haywood, Senator Farnese, Mr. Larry Krasner, and all the community supporters that's here today. This is a subject that's personal to me. It's not only personal to me, it's personal to my community, and it impacts everyone. So many times we hear about the negative stigmas going through this challenge. We're no longer willing to conform to that negative depiction of us, saying that we're unemployable, that we can't and won't do the right thing if given a second chance. This program and this event is meant to dispel all those negative stigmas, and I would like y'all to take these certificates and know every time an individual try to tell you who you are and what you can't do, the certificates prove that you are not your worst mistake, that you have the support of your community, of your elected officials, of your peers, and of your family. You're not a second-class citizen, you're a citizen.
I'm honored today that I'm just receiving this award and just thinking like I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. In my future, I didn't see it.
Jobs turned me down left and right. I had so many ideas and so many plans, and everything just seemed like it was coming crashing down on me. And as a single mom, what do you do when your son tells you that they're hungry and you don't have any money, nobody's giving it to you? What can you do?
I felt like if I didn't go to jail, I was gonna either get killed or somebody was gonna kill me. While incarcerated, I had many conversations with people that was either facing life or facing a lot of time in jail. And majority of them told me like if they could rewind their life and rewind the moment, they wouldn't do it. So I promised them saying God, if I ever see the light of day again, that I would do everything in my power to stay successful and be successful.
And now, I can sit here and tell all of you that what they thought I was and what they said I was going to be, I'm not that person. That I create my narrative. Nobody creates my narrative for me.
I don't have to go to probation and pack clothes before the day I go because I think I'm gonna go to jail when I'm not doing nothing wrong because they have the power. I don't want that over my head, so I'm just gonna keep pushing to do right.
I did almost 43 years. I thought that I would never come home, but that didn't stop me from trying to do the right thing. I thought about what Ms. Myers told me. She said, you can show others that people change.
I decided that when I got out, number one, I wasn't going back. And when I did, it wasn't gonna be in cuffs. When I went back, it was going to be to encourage, to inspire, to motivate, and to uplift.
And that's how we want to stay home, by helping each other. Because you never know, you might lose your job tonight, and the street is never the answer.
Thank you, T, for the opportunities. She's an amazing person, and she encourages me every day.
This is amazing. As a person who definitely went through a lot in the past, and nobody never gave me a pat on the back or anything, I want to thank you guys for everything that you've done tonight here.
I just want to thank everyone who still has hope in their heart for humanity.
I might have did what they said I did, but I'm not who they say I am. Thank you.
Tell them we are rising above all odds, above all stigmas.
Right, so last time y'all were emotional, now I was feeling it this time, and I watched that clip a few times. Thank you, Latanya, for that. So part of what's happening in Philly DA is they're highlighting the work of Larry Krasner in attempting to radicalize the prosecutor's office to make it more humane, for it to actually have some level of justice in it, right? And to create systems so that we actually have less people in prison and less people on probation. And that is all a result of activists like yourselves, people who have been doing this work for decades, to ensure that this is what our elected officials are doing, that they're actually working in the service of our communities to actually better our environment. And in that process, Latanya, you are one of the folks that has successfully come off probation, and you're working on all these really wonderful things. And one of your experiences, as you alluded to right before the clip, is that some of the elected officials were like, yeah, Latanya's great, but she's an outlier. Most of these people ain't worth nothing. We don't have to change anything, right? We actually need to keep things as they are to keep folks inside of prison for as long as possible, or on probation as long as possible. And so you created this award ceremony to show that, no, you are not an outlier. You're not an exception. Actually, a lot of your people are just like this, right? So I wanted to thank you for doing that, and for acknowledging that as amazing as you are, and you are a superhero, that there are other superheroes too in the community. I'm glad that you did that. And I wanted to give you, I want to give you some space to talk more about what that felt like when you understood that they were trying to put you up on a pedestal, you know, and in some ways, some people would be like, oh, I like it up here. I feel good being acknowledged in this way, and that I am so exceptional. But also that you recognize that that would be harmful to the rest of your community to stay up on that pedestal by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, learning from mentors like Bill Cobb, you know, I've always known that we're not free till we're all free. You know, that was a slap in the face to me. You know, that was a slap in the face to all my comrades that, you know, didn't make it to the day. It was a slap in the face to the thousands of people that's dying in jails across the nation right now that's fighting for their freedom. And if given an opportunity, they can mend, you know, the broken hearts of so many kids that's living and growing up without their fathers, without their mothers. So I took it as a challenge, you know, and it actually showed me exactly how they looked at us, you know, and how they try to separate us from each other in order to stop this movement. And, you know, like I said, I'm not free until we're all free. And that's what was installed in me from my mentors to, you know, stand on the shoulders of giants and continue this work. Together we can see further that way.
And will you tell us about Against All Odds? What was your inspiration for it? What does it do?
Yeah, so Above All Odds actually is a foundation that I started when I first came home. You know, I wanted to be actively engaged. This was prior to Larry Krasner running for office, and, you know, every hot topics was everyone was paying attention to local government. This was just when it was harder to get civically engaged. I just needed to give back. I felt like, you know, I always had that yearning in my spirit. You know, I felt like I wanted to give that support that was given to me to someone else. So I started giving away book bags in the LGBT community, knowing that a lot of us, you know, form families amongst each other, and our maternal parents sometimes doesn't encourage us to go to school, or, you know, how can you raise your hand in class if you know, might smell like, you know, underarms or something like that. You know, I understood the barriers and that it took and the confidence that it took to go to school with pride. And I wanted to help these LGBT youth have that encouragement and have that support needed so that they can be successful. So from there, you know, I just started organizing, going back into the storefronts where, you know, I once, you know, solicited, but now I'm like going there and giving out book bags. And, you know, now I'm, you know, using the same tools of survival in the streets, but now I learned how to do it in a way that was uplifting my community and not harming it. And that's like, and that is when I found my passion, and I made my commitment to really focus on Above Our Odds, to try to give kids across the nation as much support as possible, or at least guide them through some of the areas in life that I had went through, and just connect them in ways to be civically engaged and let them know that they're not alone. So I'm proud to say that above all odds, we're like helping with rental assistance this year with the pandemic. A lot of individuals are behind in rent. And definitely did not want anyone to go into 2021 with the same pain and the trauma from 2020. So we started a rental assistance fund to help secure housing so that individuals are not locked out in the winter, or housing scarcity is not making people more vulnerable to be in jail, because sometimes you go to jail for burglary if you just try to somewhere to squat and sit at. And I want to be more proactive instead of reactive when it comes to problems and solutions in my community. And I feel as though through above all odds, and hopefully with the support of individuals, that we can continue to grow stronger together. So anyone that has any ideas or would like to collaborate, or know anyone that's most importantly that's in need, that might want to hear from someone like me or anyone in my network that can continue to uplift, empower, or support them, please feel free to reach out. I'm on Instagram at above all odds __. And my Gmail is Latanya, why not prosper @gmail.com. And I'm just looking forward to connecting and continuing this work.
Latanya, I want you to repeat those so that we can have someone type them into the chat for all the panelists, because we have people asking how they can support Above All Odds.
Yes, ma'am. So you can find me on Instagram at above all odds __. My email address is Latanya, why not prosper? That's WHYNOTPROSPER @gmail.com.
Thank you. I have a question for y'all that came to me this morning that we have not discussed at all, so apologies. But y'all, have you heard the quote from Audre Lorde, "The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house"? And it's the way that activists have acted on this quote for years is, you can't do anything from the inside. Anything from the inside is never going to work. What thoughts do you have about that quote in connection to doing the work that it takes to radicalize and revolutionize the district attorney's office? And I'd love to hear from both of you on this.
Yeah, I'd like to start with that. So true, and I'm a fan of Brother Lore, and I agree. However, right, we are humans, and we live among other humans, and I know who I am, and I know what I'm here to do, and so we just have to engage in the warfare of turning hearts and minds. Literally, I merely use campaigns as an opportunity to get human beings closer to me so that I can love them and transform them powerfully forever. So for me, it's not about the tactics. It's not about the fight. It's really about the opportunities to assemble people, love them, fill them with that, and then have them know how they can leverage that to combat the things that they have been combating through academia or through relationships. We're humans. We need love. Love is the thing that endures and pushes past all. And that it's just that simple. It's just peace and love for me.
I love it, Bill. Peace and love. That's it. When you hear the name Bill Cobb, think peace and love. Latanya, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely can echo that. Love is something that transforms all. You know what I'm saying? Without understanding, everyone has a part and a position to play in this movement and in this fight. And I think that, once we start loving and respecting each other, regardless of, and understanding that we all have something to bring to the table, I believe that's how we can truly dismantle this system. When we stop pointing a finger and say, oh, this person and that person, but really look within ourselves, work together to really change it and understand what we're doing. If we don't stand up and do something about it, we got to be on the right side of history. This is not the land of free. You know what I'm saying? This is not the land of free at all. This is not the way that we're supposed to live. And this is our generational civil rights movement, I feel as though, and I would not sit on the sidelines and watch, my brothers and sisters further be slaughtered in the street and then and let it be done justifiably because of the law, right? I'm not, we're tired of these sacrificial killings, and we're going to be proactive, and we're going to be engaged, and we're going to dismantle, and we're going to build, and we're going to heal together with love.
I just want to piggyback on that because I want to talk a little differently about me and LaTonya's relationship. She's referred to me as a mentor and standing on the shoulders of giants, but that's not really what it is. I love LaTonya, and LaTonya loves me. My wife loves LaTonya, and LaTonya loves my wife. My children love LaTonya, and my children, she's family. And so doing the work provided an opportunity for me to meet an amazing human being who had enough love to love my entire family, and we have enough love for her. And that is why we are working together in community, because it's not safe for us to work with people who don't love us. LaTonya knows that my learning and my 50 years of leadership is that I refuse to work with people who don't love me and that I don't love, because doing the work is very traumatic. Having to face what we face every day in academia and the workspace, we're consumed with energy that is just not good. And so surrounding yourself with love and being loved and doing work with the people that love you will be the things that always transform communities. It was the very thing that built civilization, and we need to get back to it.
Yeah. You make me think of that Che Guevara quote that I had on my door for a long time. At the risk of seeming ridiculous, let me say that the true revolutionary is guided by great feelings of love. And, that's at the core of everything that everybody is doing that is in this work. It's about love of your siblings, right? Love of brother, sister, family, friend. I want to pivot a little bit and just ask y'all some personal questions. This is a little bit of a lightning round, but I do want you to answer the questions fully. So don't feel pressed to only say it in a few words. But given that we're talking about love and community and connection, and this is why any of this matters. And if your work isn't infused with love and understanding of community and love of humanity, what are you doing? That's why it ain't working, right? All right, so first question is, what do you dream of?
Freedom. True freedom. That's what I dream of. I dream surviving. Thriving, not just surviving,
Yeah, thriving in freedom, absolutely.
And then let me push it for a second. What does freedom mean to y'all?
So you know what? It's trying to define that. That's something that LaTonya and I talk about all the time. If we can liberate ourselves financially, if we can liberate ourselves socially, what would you be doing if none of these systems existed and you were just a human and you were on the planet? What would you do? And so that is freedom. But I have that freedom. It's in the heart and it's in the mind. And so, yeah, freedom, but having everyone be free is what I think about. How to do it, I don't know, but I'm actively in pursuit of it with this life, and I love it. And that's freedom.
LaTonya, how do you define freedom?
Peace. Peace.
All right. What is something people misunderstand about you?
You take that, LaTonya.
You're going to have to answer it too, Billy.
I think what they would misunderstand about any person. We only know people in proximity to them, and that takes interaction. And so what I do know is that people who perceive that they know me have no clue who I am. So I project very differently outwardly than I am in personal relationships with folks. So yeah, people think that I'm something that I'm not all the time.
If I may I push you and say, how do they perceive you that is different from the way you really are?
Great, thank you for that question. So I'm perceived as a person who spent time in our nation's jails and prisons, who's Black, who grew up in an impoverished neighborhood and community, who they don't expect to be a leader. So I'm fighting cognitive dissonance of all human beings every single day. I'm a Black man living in America in 2021. You don't expect for me to have led one of the largest campaigns in the history of the ACLU. You don't expect that the work that is be happening in all 50 states and Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. happened because of the things that happened to me and people in my neighborhood and community. So I aim to be, I love being the cognitive dissonance, so that way people who come into people like me again will possibly perceive that something different can happen to them in proximity with us, rather than the foolish and ridiculous things that that they typically think about Black men. You push me, Claudia. Okay, I see what you're doing. I see.
I know, but I really like what you had to say, so I'm really glad I pushed you. Latanya, what do people misunderstand about you?
I mean, I think just the complexity. I mean, what they misunderstand about a lot of young Black and brown people from our community. That we don't care, that we're unencourageable. You know, they misunderstand that, you know, the power that we actually have and the impact that we will make. I think a lot of people, they sleep on us. And they think that we don't understand or can't be involved in these type of decisions, but out of our pain, you know, it just breeded us to be stronger in this fight. So I think they misunderstand how actually we understand these statutes and these bills that's written purposely to write us out legislation and to keep us down. I think they sleep on that. We're watching, you know, we awaken. So understand woke. So
Next question. What scares you?
Going outside and being murdered by police. Having my children go outside and being murdered by police. Having somebody that I know and love being murdered by police. Having somebody who's just like me being murdered by police. Having a human being hunted, captured, and killed by police scares the shit out of me.
A word.
Being locked out of my purpose of living, opportunities that God gave me and put me on this earth to do, and being told no, because you got a felony. Being locked away and shackled, separated from my family, having family members die. I mean, this is not our American dream. This is our American nightmare. I'm scared. I'm scared now, and that's why we fighting to change. I don't want my nieces and nephews to grow up scared.
What does healing look like?
Telling everyone that you love them because you do. And knowing that the things that we're enduring, that we've endured them because we're uniquely qualified to do so, and then loving yourself more because of it. You know, it looks like removing ourselves from things that harm us, and you know, learning, listening, and loving. Healing looks like something that we have to do for the rest of our lives, and then hope that we can stop trauma from happening, so that people can survive, you know, not have to survive and live, but can thrive. And then we can innovate, and we can create, and we can heal, and we can, you know, there's so much possibility with our humanity if we would just stop hurting one another.
Latanya, what does healing look like?
Healing to me looks like not having that anxiety when you're waiting for a bus and a cop stops you or ride past you, you know? Healing for me is seeing my mother smile and not afraid every time I walk out the door, or every time I say bye to a friend is be safe. You know, I want to end the conversation or see you again. That's healing.
What gives you joy?
Waking up, breathing, fighting, surviving, thriving, living life. We've lost so much over this past year. So many people have been removed from us. Yeah, this is, life is so precious and so amazing. And so while we've endured such hard adversities, and you know, Every day feels incredible. Every day is full of so much wonderful, fascinating things. And I literally don't leave the house. And so, yeah, life is amazing. And so just living brings me incredible amount of joy.
I can honestly say liberating my people, bailing people out and welcoming them home, that smile literally on Juneteenth, liberating my people on Juneteenth and having that connection with my ancestors. It gives me joy, to see someone say, hey, I got my first job today. And just, just share those moments and plant those seeds that was planted in me from my grandmother, and continuing that tradition of love and understanding. I think that gives me the ultimate joy, the work I do with Above Our Eyes and just all around in general within my community. It gives me a sense of pride. It gives me a sense of, I feel like I'm doing it with my community. I can feel a change. I can see it in my family. I can see it and I can hear it in the conversations. That gives me joy to know that, we're moving as a movement together. There's nobody being left behind.
What makes you angry?
It makes me angry knowing there's so much talent, so much love, and so much still locked behind those bars. It makes me angry that most of our jails are now become nursing homes to our leaders. Most of the people in Pennsylvania jails is senior citizens. They're dying in there right now. It makes me angry hearing the scared and the worry in my cousin's voice when they call and not knowing if they'll never, ever make it home. It makes me really angry.
LaTanya won't be surprised by this answer, but the co-opting of energies and efforts who have been grinding on the ground for decades, who don't have access to philanthropic resources, who are pushed out of rooms where policies being made. What makes me angry are people who give themselves labels, to give themselves proximity to people like us, and then take power, and then take decision making, and then take narrative and make it about them. Um, that is the greatest impetus in the fight to change all of these things. And so right now, that's what I spent my time concentrating on, making sure that those closest to the problems, who are closest to the solutions, are no longer furthest from the resources and power. So that is actually my fight every day. And so anybody who's ever spent time in a cage, who's having difficulty with emerging in society or financially because of this pervasive culture of discrimination aimed at us, and because of 70,000 collateral consequences, that infuriates me. There are more of us than there are them. So I'm just a little angry that we are sitting on our power instead of sitting them down and taking power.
Thank you, Bill. One last question, and then we'll move to the questions from people in attendance here. The last one is, what do you believe in?
I believe in LaTanya. I believe in people like LaTanya. I believe in people like me. I believe in humanity. I believe that each of us are responsible for what our leadership does and does not produce. And we all have the capacity to do better every day with loving one another and the planet. I believe in us.
I believe that we have the power, to really see the change that we need to happen in our communities, in our country. I believe that this is just the start of something that's going to be transformative, and I believe with all my heart that we're doing the right thing.
That actually segues perfectly into my girl Mutali's question. She wants to know how can we scale this work across the country, this work of revolutionizing district attorneys' offices to ensure that the country has a force of progressive DAs. We've already seen it happening in Los Angeles. We have George Gascon. But what are the other ways in which we can use this as a model?
Well, right, that is literally my work. Literally, this thought of an electing a progressive prosecutor is the work that is rooted here in the city of Philadelphia. So stay connected to the work that we're doing, and you will be funding and fueling the movement that's actually transforming not just prosecutor offices, but other electoral offices. The problem is that people are disconnected from where its nucleus is because so many people have splintered and fractured and taken resources from themselves rather than trying to drive the movement across the country as a collective.
Bill, can you share a little bit about your firm? Just let folks know about it.
Yeah, I have difficulty with branding in business because that Andre Laura thing. But what I will say is that we're currently working to elect a person by the name of Caroline Turner for judge here in the city of Philadelphia. And so I don't know what the site is, but it's Caroline Turner for judge. If you follow on social media, you'll be able to connect into our energy. We're very hesitant to use titles, labels, and all of those things. This is just what we're doing now. And we just go from candidate to candidate across the country, helping people who have limited resources, limited infrastructure to get elected. And if you want to know how to stay in touch with me, above all odds is the way.
You just read my mind. I was going to ask you, how can folks stay in touch with you, Bill? LaTanya, same question for you. How are we going to use this as a model to affect change on a national scale?
I think we got to stay grounded in grassroots efforts. You know, like Bill said, they got to understand where the power coming from and the people. And once certain things are implicated, I think we need to educate people, you know, on how to utilize these elected officials in a ways that's not harming us, you know, but in ways that we're actually getting the help that we need. So I think, you know, tapping back into the community, working with, you know, individuals that aren't usually involved in local elections, and not just having people sign petitions, but educating them on exactly how impactful a petition can be, and different various factors. I think during election time, we always, you know, see these politicians come up off the hill and they come to our community, and by you turn around, you know, they're gone. So I think, you know, just keeping things grounded and finding out what the community wants, getting the community involved, and running candidates that have the progressive mindset to liberate our people, and educate.
We hire exclusively from that population for all of our campaigns. And so they're not doing petitions. They're literally the finance directors, the political directors. And so we're running our campaigns exclusively with the most marginalized people because they are the best suited to actually drive the change.
This is a perfect segue to the last question, which is that, so at For Freedoms, our main mission is civic engagement and inspiring, modeling, having artists be the vehicle for folks to understand their own ability and capacity to be civically engaged, and also to change what it looks like to be civically engaged. Like, what are the faces for in some jurisdictions, it's family business to be an elected official, right? Like dad, like son, like mother, like daughter sort of thing. And then people don't really see themselves as like, that's not me. I didn't grow up in a family like that, so I can't run for office. We're very interested in changing that. And also at the UCLA Center for Justice, which is still developing, but one of our main mottos is, in order to change the narrative, you got to change the narrator, right? And that people who are directly impacted by issues should be at the table making decisions, not in some sort of periphery way, but in a very centralized way. So if we're talking about changing the criminal legal system, some people like the idea around reform. I like ideas around abolition. We need people who are formerly and currently incarcerated in those conversations. So putting those two together, my question is, who's running for office here? Who are we gonna run for office? It seems like you both are so brilliant and have so much to say and have so many ideas.
Right.
People need
LaTanya has been being groomed for office since the day that I met her. Literally, LaTanya and I met on a panel discussion, and there was a fight about how to bring her into the energy. I lost, the other person won, but I stayed in touch with LaTanya in the way that was authentic and genuine. And so literally right now, the group that I have is literally called Political Noir. We literally don't advertise. We don't have websites. We do word of mouth on the ground recruitment, but literally, I'm running a bank of candidates across the country. My last win was Jamal Bowman for Congress. And so I did this way publicly now. I'm doing the work that I did behind the scenes for 20 years out front to be a beacon, to example. And so LaTonya's a part of a robust operation already. She's doing a bunch of things in field. She's learning texting and emailing, and she's getting all of that because I want her to build up the courage to actually represent me and my children as an elected official. And so we just have to get a pardon, or we have to change the laws that prohibit us from holding office. So we have the numbers. I can mobilize 350,000 people plus another 100,000 and put out a record number of votes if LaTonya ever gets the courage to run for office.
LaTonya, what say you?
Well, Miss Claudia, I really I'm honored that you would even, put that idea forward. Honestly, I'll be honest. To serve my community is something that I feel as though that I was born to do. But I continuously want to, study under mentors and work as hard as I can to bring my community along with me.
Didn't that sound like a pivot? Like I'm still trying to get ready instead of yes, let's go right now.
Yes.
Right, Claudia? Like thank you for putting her on blast. I'm trying to pull her sister, but she ain't running fast enough for me.
Come on, LaTonya. Let's run that back again. So everybody here is ready for you to run for office. We're just waiting for a partner to change laws, which we'll do. And then what say you?
Well, actually, I don't need a partner. I'm just waiting for y'all. I'm at above all odds, LaTonya, why not prosper at gmail.com.
I'm in charge of her PAC, Claudia. I'm in charge of her PAC. Let's start raising the money today.
I'm in charge of planning the celebration party because I do that very well. All right, LaTonya, we are looking forward to this. I want to thank, we're at our time together, so I just want to thank y'all, number one, for being in conversation with me today. This was really fun, as I knew it was going to be. LaTonya Myers and Bill Cobb, you've been doing amazing work, and we are so honored by your presence and grateful for your dedication to yours and our community. I also want to thank Ted Passon, Nicole Salazar, and Yoni Brook for doing Philly DA. It is an excellent series.
They made me cry with just a clip. I don't even think I want to watch that stuff, man. Holy smoke.
Bill, I think you cried like 3 times today.
I just want to say thank you for Freedoms. Y'all doing amazing work. Like, thank you so much. This panel is so important to me for y'all centering firmly impacted voices. And, this was just all love, peace and love to everybody out there. And thank you at UCLA, the Justice Initiative that y'all doing over there. And just let's stay plugged in. Let's continue loving on each other. Let's continue building.
Thank you.
Thank you for dragging me out to do this, LaTonya. I would have only did this for her. So peace and love. I love you, sister. Thank you for making me do this.
I can't wait to ask LaTonya to drag you into more stuff, Bill, because it's going to be fun. I also just want to thank Eric Gottesman, Kiara Ben. I want to thank June. I want to thank Phoebe and Jason Nichols. All of y'all played such a big role in making this happen today. All the behind the scenes, the beautiful designing, the tech, all this really important stuff. And thank PBS for showing Philly DA whenever it is up. Thanks to all who attended. Grateful for all of you. Abolish prisons now. Bye.
Oh, I didn't know anybody was in here attending. Peace and love, y'all.
Bye, y'all.